Hello and welcome to our second week running the Wafflers podcast. I'm joined by Francisco Maledo, aka Cisco, my co-host today. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I'm ready to talk about some football.
Me too. And I am Wesley Rush, Wezza, as they call me. Today we're going to be going through the transfer window. It's coming to a close today, at least the English one. Is that Europe in general or just the Prem?
It's Europe in general. We're going to get onto this, but Saudi Arabia has another almost month left of their transfer window. So
Do what you want, basically, innit?
yeah,
Crazy. We're going to go through the best window, which team had the best window, which team had the worst window, and I know who you're going to say. Then we're going to go through the best signing and the worst signing. We will finish up with two extra parts, one being Saudi Arabia, as you discussed, an absolute shit show, taking over football, so they hope, and then Arsenal, Man United this weekend. Difficult fixture for you, wasn't it, last week against Fulham? If only Palhinha left before...
needed
playing.
that.
Yeah.
What I will say, though, is that, weirdly enough, I'm a bit more confident about playing United than I was Fulham.
Yeah, that's about the best thing you've said so far on this, mate. You're not wrong. No Mount, no Shaw.
No Mount, no shot.
Varane.
I did hear Højlund might make his first start. He's back
Beast.
from fitness.
Yeah, hopefully he can get another 8 goals this year.
Yeah, that being said, I mean, his first appearance in the Premier League is against big man Willie Saliba. So
Yeah, second best centre half in the league at the minute, I think.
I'd say so. He's right up there.
All right, let's get straight into it. By the way, I have a cat that might pop on the screen at any moment.
Yeah, it's right here. It's nudging his arm. I think you can see it in
I
the screen
don't
at
think
this
you
moment.
can be in this, mate. Anyway, what were we saying? Best transfer. Let's start with that. The best transfer this this window.
Do you have an opinion on it first?
Let's hear yours.
I'm going to go ahead and say I have a few. So I'm going to narrow it down while I'm speaking about it. One of them...
Top 3, and then we'll
yeah.
go to your best
So
one.
one of them, in my opinion, you're going to roll your eyes, but I do feel this way. Declan Rice. I do
Lot of money, innit?
I do think he was expensive, but
Very.
I do think that long term he's going to be transformative for Arsenal. Offers us a lot of variety we didn't have beforehand, and I think it's going to give Mikel Arteta a certain amount of flexibility he didn't really have. Another very, very good signing from this season, in my opinion, is Dominic Szoboszlai from Liverpool.
he's good,
I think
man.
he's very good, and in the few appearances I've
legs.
seen so far, he looks very mobile. He's very good on the ball, and their midfield's a bit of a shambles because they don't have a pivot at the moment. But as far as quality goes, I think he's very good.
Do you think Endo solves any of that for them?
I do not, but
It's not Gravenbach today, actually.
I was gonna say I did see that they're on the come up for Gravenberch. So
Is that his name, Gravenberch?
yeah,
It's a sub, though, for Bayern, and now they bought Palhinha. He can't be that good, can he?
he's a sub for Bayern, but I mean they have players like Kimmich and
Kimmich,
Goretzka
yeah.
in the midfield, and they're both very good and a lot older than him. And I think Gravenberch has the type of wiry build, kind of like a Abu Diaby. He's just mobile. He's going to be able to cover a lot of ground for Liverpool, and kind of what they want in their build is those spry players who can get around the pitch very quickly and do the high pressing. I think he can do that.
So we got Szoboszlai.
Yeah, Szoboszlai, Declan
Rice.
Rice, and I think the worst transfers are easier. Best ones, it's kind of hard because we need more of a
Bit more proof.
Yeah, a bit more proof. But
If you're talking of game changers, Liverpool desperately needed him. Arsenal desperately needed him.
yeah.
Is there anybody else that a team really needed that they went in and got this summer?
Oh, you know what? Tonali, Newcastle. Think he's very good, and
He's been good
adds
first couple of games.
he adds a level of the quality and a type of quality they didn't have that much. They have Bruno, but
I'm not a huge Bruno fan, mate. Sideways merchant.
yeah, but Bruno is good. I think
Chewing his gum as well, it bothers me.
I do rate Bruno, but I think Tonali, while he has a similar assets as far as wide passing goes and things like that, I do think he's got more of an engine, and he's going to be very good at a place like Newcastle.
Fans will love him, won't they?
Oh, they already do.
Italian
You
fella,
could
good
see it
looking.
on the telly every time he does anything,
Yeah.
sideways pass or anything like that. The fans are
This
just
guy's a
shirts off.
joke. Yeah.
The Toon Army are kind of nuts like that, though. So I mean, I remember when they signed Anthony Gordon last year. He hadn't done shit
He's
yet.
done well so far this year, though. To be
He's
fair
been
to him,
good this year,
Yeah.
but last year he hadn't done shit yet, and the fans already had a chant for him. So I think that's just how they get down over at the Toon.
Yeah.
What about you, man? What's your top
Top
three?
three. It's interesting that you picked 3 centre midfielders there. And we're talking strictly Prem, right? The 3 best Premier League
Yeah.
signings.
Yeah.
It's tough because, as you said, we need more shows from them to be able to really judge it. I think Vardiol is going to be a really big signing for Man City, especially if you pair him with Ruben Diaz eventually. He's left-footed too as well, isn't he? So
Yeah, I think actually he's going to be taking over from Ake, that weird formation that Pep plays.
keeps playing him out wide.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
it's sort of out wide, but he's kind of just like adding in another pivot in the field.
Yeah.
He's left-sided, but he's not really an outside back though, is he? It's an inverted weird formation they got going on there.
I think Vardiol, he's going to eventually... I mean, City are so good that you don't really notice it, but if they were struggling, I think you'd notice him a little bit more. But he's been solid. Need more from him, but I think he's he's not a game changer, but he's somebody that's going to...
Yeah, they were already best in the world. They just won the treble.
He's somebody that's going to add to an already incredible team. So, Vardiol. I like McAllister for the money they spent. Liverpool.
Good player, but he's not a lone six.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
I mean,
the quicker they stop that, the better off they'll be.
I think both of them, Szoboszlai and McAllister, are 2 solid signings to play in those 8 and 10, I guess, but it's more like 2 8s and it's side by side. I think that was good business. It's a shame they couldn't find a 6 to go with them. Or why did they sell Henderson and Fabinho if they couldn't replace? But I think...
Honestly, they could have put you in at the 6 and you'd have done a better job than Hendo at this rate.
I'm not bad at 6, to be fair. I think McAllister is up there for me. I think he's a top player. Vardiol. Szoboszlai probably. Rice I like. I do. I give him a bit of a tough time on the first pod, but he's obviously a very big player. It's a lot of money, but
I think the other reason I really like him is it's a soft factor, yes, but he really is. He's a mentality changer. He ups the mental levels of the team, I think, and he's just hustle ball to the max. I think he's a beast.
I think if you're going to buy Caicedo for 115, you've got an absolute steal with Rice at 105.
Yeah, Caicedo. Don't get me wrong. For all those listening, he's a very good player. Could see that. But
Yeah,
1 year in the Prem, he's 21, and they've spent 115 mil.
yeah.
Todd Bowley, 1 billion spent in about a year and a half. He's what else can you really say about him?
I think if I'm going to pick my top one, value, McAllister, impact, Rice. That's what I'm going for.
I think that's pretty solid. There weren't too many big marquee signings. There were a lot of very expensive signings, but none of those big names that we usually see coming in every year.
If you're talking Madrid, though, Bellingham. What's
Oh.
a signing that guy is? Keep it Prem, though.
In this podcast, we love Bellingham. There will be no Bellingham slander.
Yeah.
There will be soccer slander, but it won't be coming from me because he's like my son. I love him to bits.
Mr. Penn, didn't he, in the Euros?
Scored the last one, though, didn't he?
Okay. So we're saying Rice is probably the most influential, and we're saying McAllister is probably the best value for money. I think they got an absolute steal the price they paid on him.
Yeah.
World Cup winner.
Yeah, how much did they end up spending on him?
35 maybe, have a look.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I know it was chips, really. So
Yeah.
Here we go then. This is the much easier one to talk about because
Before we get there, I have one more thing.
yeah, go on.
Ansu Fati to Brighton. Thoughts?
So this is a player that me and you have been talking about for years. The quality is obvious. He's a La Masia product. He's, technically he's dripping with class. He's got ankles and knees made of glass, though.
He's got the Gabby Jesus, hasn't he? Classic case.
Stop that.
It's true, mate.
Stop that. He's a very good player, though. There's a good player in there. And if we know Brighton's track record, it's that they seem to unearth these guys, these rough cuts and these gems. De Zerbi is a fantastic manager, and I have a feeling they would not be signing them if they didn't know exactly what they were going to do with him. So expect a good season from Fati.
I think they got that much money too that they can spend a little bit on his wages and be like, if this guy pops off, great. If he doesn't, we got Matoma, Solly March, Ferguson, Welbeck, João Pedro. Yeah,
even though they've been very good, like they are definitely one of the toughest teams in the Premier League. Even though they've been very good, this is a signing that is way out of their league for the most part. And so I think you're right. They had that bit of extra change to spend, and they can shift however much he's making a week.
Making
no
quite
problem.
a bit too. He signed a 5 or 6 year not too long ago. What I thought of it is, from Brighton's perspective, it's low risk, high reward. You've got coverage. You've got a really good player. It's a loan. If he pops off, you've added. If he doesn't, you're covered. You're probably still going to be as good as you were. You've spent a bit, but all the money you've brought in the past 3-4 years, low risk, high reward. I think he's going to do really well. I hope he does too. He's a good player.
I think Brighton are probably the best run team in the league. One of the best run establishments in the world at the moment. And if it wasn't, I think that they probably are the best run team. You would put City in there as well, but I mean they have a history of cheating. So is it well run or are they just skating by? But
all falls apart with that Pep as well.
Yeah, but I've got all sorts of time for Brighton. I mean, what can you really say? It's like they make the great signings, they unearth the gems, and then they sell them all for unbelievable amounts of money and really just like completely scam off the big teams. It's fantastic.
Agreed. All right, moving on. It was fairly even there. We agreed on way more than we usually do, which is slightly dull start. But
this is the part of the pod where we start really just ruffling feathers, though. This is worst transfers.
Transfers.
You start this one. I started the last.
Chelsea have spent out their arse, and I still think that they are a shambles. It's like a Scrabble board without any of the words going together. They got all these players that they're spending a lot of money on, but I still look at that team and I don't really see, if it was a Pep team, he's putting pieces together. Even Liverpool, they didn't quite get the pieces they wanted, but they all fit into a specific system. Chelsea are they're just throwing money at players and then hoping it all molds together. I get it that Poch can do that. They spent over $1 billion. We'll see. That's the theory.
Chelsea are a much bigger club than Tottenham are. PSG were a much bigger club than Tottenham are. Didn't do too well at PSG, having to manage all the players. I mean, he's Argentinian, but he had a fallout with Messi. It really just sums up PSG. And I think that even though they're not the same, I do think that ego-wise and stature-wise for the club, it's a very similar fix there. And we'll see what happens with Poch this season, because if Chelsea don't finish top 4 this season, they are in a world of hurt.
Yeah, financially. I think what might have happened with Chelsea is Todd Bowley has gone in with a clear game plan for how Chelsea's going to go, and is kind of having to just do things to back up what he said he was going to do, and Poch was the only person that can maybe get him through that. I think he's actually gambling a little bit now. It's an expensive gamble though. Buying players like Cole Palmer for 45 million. We didn't go into the worst transfers of the summer, but for me, spending that much money on him when you've got Madueke, you've got Sterling, you've got Nicholas Jackson, you've got, I'm trying to think of the other ones.
It's got to be one of the weirdest posits for future proofing I've ever seen. It's just sign every young English winger.
They got Nkunku as well. I know he's out for a while, but got ridiculous talent in those positions, and they've added somebody that couldn't get a sniff at Man City, really.
Had a good summer, though.
They bought Doku, and then basically, Palmer, you're not going to play for us. The City have spent 50 million on him. I wouldn't spend 50 million on him.
The thing about the Premier League right now, though, is that every other team in Europe knows they can just rinse them silly for money, and that is what's happening, because Premier League team wants a player. Team holding him is going to be like, well, you're not going to get him less than, I don't know, 50 mil, some outrageous claim, and Premier League wants him bad enough they'll pay it because they've got money coming out every orifice.
I mean, I think it's a worldwide thing in agreement that Chelsea's transfer window's been bizarre.
Completely bizarre.
A lot of money on players. Enzo's good. Casado's good. 115 million good, though, yet to be seen.
We'll see about that.
Lavia's 19, 60 million. Just trying to pip them from Liverpool, I think. Can't see him playing that much either, quite honestly. Cole Palmer, can't see him playing. Madueke's barely had a sniff. Forgot about the other one, the Ukrainian fella. Mudrik's barely had a sniff, and you spent nearly 100 million on him. And now you're bringing in a 20-year-old, 21-year-old sub for Man City. It's bonkers.
It's bonkers. It doesn't make too much sense to me. It's very easy for me to shit on Chelsea as well because I've had a long-term hatred for them since as long as I can remember. That being said, it's clear as day, whether bias or no bias. The plan is hard to see at the moment.
They've got like 8 different centre-halves as well. All young.
Bought Koulibaly last year for 65 mil and then sold him to Saudi the next year.
Bonkers. That's my pick anyway for the worst transfer window. Liverpool's not far off because they just didn't fill the position they needed to fill. So it's been a tough window.
Yeah.
But I just can't get around Chelsea's spend and the lack of strategy, it seems, with their spend. So shoot me with yours then. Here we go.
Alrighty. It would be boring of me to say Chelsea. But I have a close second, so I'm going to talk about them. Manchester United.
Here we go.
Where do I start? Mason Mount.
I don't get this, though. Mason Mount isn't a bad signing.
Mason Mount is about as meat and potatoes average as you could possibly get for 60 million. That is just, to me, outrageous. And it's early doors, yes, which is why it was hard to pick best transfer of the season so far because it's been only 3 games. But early doors, but he's been shocking. United have been shocking, but Mason Mount has been either invisible or abject. Either one of those in the first 3 appearances so far.
Mason Mount's been caught in a poor team. He was our hardest worker for the first 3 games. I don't think you can say he's been poor. I think
El Neni works hard.
Does he?
El Neni works hard, but
all right, El Neni's not in this conversation now.
It's an example though of somebody who works hard but is shit.
Mason Mount is a good footballer. He's a proven footballer. He's been to semi-finals. He's won a Champions League. He's a good footballer. He's held in high regard from every manager he's been with. He's been caught in a team that's obviously adjusting, and we're poor. United are poor right now. Doesn't mean he's a bad signing, though. He's got a lot of time to prove it. A bad signing is an unproven player that you spend 50 million quid for in Parma.
He was bad last year, just as Chelsea were bad. He was bad, for England in appearances, and he's bad so far this season. I just don't think he has the spark he had when he first came into Chelsea.
Player, 2 out of 3 seasons, player of the year.
Yeah, well, Chelsea have been piss poor for 2 out of 3 last seasons.
No mug though to be Chelsea's best player for the season at 21, 22.
Where did Chelsea finish last season?
Couldn't tell you, mate. But
clubs
it was
in the
season
mud.
before. I'm saying that he's proven. He's a good footballer. He's had 2 games and now he's injured.
If he was Scottish instead of English, you would be on my side here.
Yeah, but he's too good to be Scottish. So you think who else then? Mount.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of Amrabat today. I'll be honest.
Amrabat. And for that signing, they almost missed out on it because they tried to nickel and dime, and all they spent was however much, I'd
have rather Højbjerg from Spurs, mate.
I mean, both of those are way below standard for United.
But we're clutching at straws, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And then I know he could turn good, and physically it looks like an absolute animal. But however many goals last season in Serie A, Højlund for almost 100 mil is absolutely outrageous.
New Holland.
When you consider things like, I'm not comparing them as players, but Arsenal signed a class striker in Gabriel Jesus for pretty much half of what you got Højlund for.
I think Højlund, if both played 38 Premier League games, Højlund would score more goals than Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, but does he have? I mean, it's because
Striker,
of the way
mate.
it's the way that Arsenal set up. Though he's a false 9, he's a creator, he's a hub.
You wish he.
What I'm
scored more
saying though
goals.
is quality of player. We've got a quality player like Gabriel Jesus for
fit.
half the money you've got for a nobody
He's
in
never
Højlund.
fit though, is he?
not lately. But first 15 games of the season last year, that made us believe. I am firmly in Gabriel Jesus' camp. He's a fantastic player.
No, I agree. He's a good player, but I think if you played 38 games and you're fit every single game, even with Arsenal playing the way Arsenal do, Man United the way Man United do, Højlund would score more goals.
Speaking of which, I'm not changing the subject. We're going to get back to this, but I just want to say congratulations to Eddie Nketiah. He worked very hard and got a cap for England.
Eddie.
Yeah, fantastic, Eddie. For all those out there, I know there's a lot of you listening. Eddie Nketiah, you know, he gets more flack than he deserves. He's a very good player, and he's, Arsenal through and through. It's fantastic. That being said, I'd rather have Eddie Nketiah than Højlund.
It's funny, you've not watched him play, though.
Neither of you. We're all YouTube highlight merchants when it comes to Mr. Højlund. I mean, that's all he's really got.
I think he's got goals in him. I think Højlund will outscore Gabby Jesus if they play the same amount of games. I think Højlund would score more with confidence.
I just want to say that Højlund is just a younger Weghorst.
Nobody's that bad.
And he's a big boy. He's going to be very good at holding the ball up. And from what I've seen with him, he's actually very good at the knockdowns and, holding the ball up and spreading play and stuff
what
like
about
that.
Onana? Talk to me about him.
Onana is a good signing. He's very good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
good feet.
That one
Made
was
a mistake at Wolves, though. I mean, I wasn't too happy with that. But
players that are good with their feet, especially when they first get in the team, they're going to make mistakes. There's going to be miscommunications. I do think he's the only good signing United made this summer, personally.
No, I disagree. I think Højlund was a gamble, and we should have got Kane or gone for Kane a little bit.
See, if you're looking at a United team, same exact team they have now, but you stick Harry Kane up there instead of Højlund, you're looking at a team that's 3 times as good as it is right now. United didn't have the bottle, and I don't think Spurs would have sold him to him anyways unless it was something outrageous.
We were in like 130, 140.
Yeah, it would have been something ridiculous, yeah.
All right, Man United and Chelsea. Let's move on. Champions League draw.
Give me a second here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to pull up the draw for us so we can have it right in front of us.
Newcastle's group is a joke.
Newcastle have to travel, play on 2 fronts. They're either going to suffer in the Champions League or suffer in the Premier League. They can't pick both. They don't have the depth.
I was saying to you earlier, though, it's going to look cool having Newcastle playing in the San Siro.
That's class, honestly.
Iconic, yeah.
That's so sick.
It's going to be a good fixture. Tonali back in Italy.
And before I pull out these draws, I just want to say, as an Arsenal fan, a diehard Arsenal fan, it's been a very, very long road, and it's fantastic to see that fucking Champions League arm patch on our kit this year. We're going to be so sick in the Champions League group stage.
Get out of the group as well. It's annoying.
Yeah, and I am absolutely buzzing. It's been so long, and I'm just excited. I'm just very, very much looking forward to the Champions League this year.
Yeah, let's read through the groups then. Pull it up. Got a technophobe over here. That'll take him a minute. Just search it in Google. So, a little side note. This week we got our light working. We got the camera landscape. We had some talking points.
We're trying to. Okay, so as a very important player back in my college days used to say, day by day, we get better and better, right? And that's what me and Wes are attempting to do with this podcast. We're really putting in the elbow grease, and every single session, every single podcast, we need it to be better and better.
So please write a comment if you think it's better. If you think it's worse, keep it to yourself. Eventually we're going to get a subscribe button so we can do that. Hit the link.
Yeah,
all that nonsense. But
yeah, I'm going to eventually put my Venmo on there or something like that.
Go fund me.
All right, here's the draw.
Here's a draw. Group A, we have
Bayern Munich.
Bayern München.
Fantastic club. Harry Kane's
Manchester
there.
United. Copenhagen. Is that Denmark?
Yeah.
Nice. Geography.
He's from Europe as well.
Galatasaray. Turkey, that lad.
Making me hungry.
I think literally how that group is seen there is how it finishes. Bayern lead the group. I'm a big Harry Kane fan, so when Bayern and Kane,
Big is an understatement.
when Kane plays United, it's going to be tough for who I support, but I think I'll have to go with Kane on that one.
For all you England supporters out there, when Harry Kane skied that pen against France, me and this lad here were sitting there at the bar. We weren't sitting, we were standing after a few drinks, and before that ball even hit a fan's hand in the stands, this man had walked out the door and walked home.
Put the ball in fucking orbit.
He did, and that's your boy as well.
I was already home by the time it landed, mate. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's your boy. And all I see is Saka getting stick for pens, and not that guy
Shouldn't
who
have missed that
could
one,
have gone to the
or
final if
should
he
have
didn't bottle that. So
let the country down, missing that pen.
just
No,
saying.
But Bukayo, we love you. All right, Group B.
Group B, this is the one. This is let me talk about this one. Group B is Sevilla, the fucking Arsenal, PSV, and Lens. Now this does, in fact, look very comfortable for Arsenal, not because it's teams that we should expect to beat, but because it's a group that looks like a Europa League group. And, it just makes it more comfortable for us. It's been a few years out, and they decided to give us the red carpet warm welcome. I do expect to see Arsenal getting through this group. I do expect to see Arsenal finishing first.
Yeah.
That being said,
Sevilla's the big one, I think.
yeah, that being said, I mean, if we get through the group in general, I'm just going to be happy. I'm buzzing to be in the Champions League again. It's been a long time, so
How
I just
many
want to
years
see
has it been?
about almost 7. Was it 6 or 7 years?
That was before you went grey.
I've actually gone grey because Arsenal has been shit for so long. Just kidding, but
I'm bored of Arsenal. Group C. Napoli.
class club.
Yeah, big, interesting. Real Madrid, Braga, Union Berlin. Real Madrid and Napoli, surely.
Yeah, Union Berlin aren't far off though. I actually do think they've got some decent players in there, and they've got the type of team and the type of setup that could actually frustrate somebody in big games. They're gonna set up deep blocks and stuff like that, so it should be interesting.
Have they still got that Georgian fella and Uziman, is what he's called?
What, Napoli?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do, and they're fantastic.
So they've still got those pieces.
Did you just call him Georgian fella?
What's his name? You have no idea, do you? He can't pronounce it.
I
That's
know
what
his
I call
name, but
him,
I cannot
Georgian
pronounce
fella.
it. Kavicha. That's
Something
his
like
first
that.
name.
Ceviche.
Ceviche.
All right, Group D. Interesting one. Boring one. Benfica, Inter, Salzburg, Real Sociedad. Real Sociedad, who David Silva plays for.
Yeah, but I think he's retired. Just
Really?
this season, he got a knee injury. I think he's done.
Benfica, Inter, Salzburg, Real Sociedad. Don't know enough. Probably say Benfica and Inter for that one.
I mean, Inter were just in the semi-final. Or
Final, wasn't
final, sorry.
Got
We're just
bopped.
in the final. They got bopped, yeah, but they made it to the final, so, I mean, you'd expect them to get through
I
easily.
think so. Yeah. Benfica too. Pretty good club. They
Big
got,
club, but I think Sociedad might be a better team.
They got Ramos, the striker from Portugal. They used to have Enzo, didn't they? That's where he came from.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see about them.
Yeah.
Group E. Feyenoord, Atletico, Lazio, Celtic. Tell you one team that won't be getting out of that, and that's Celtic. Rubbish. Rangers got bopped as well the other night. Atletico, Lazio for me in that one.
Got plenty of time for Celtic. Got plenty of time for Atletico. Part of the transfer mill, part of the rumor mill is that Lazio are looking at Mason Greenwood.
Sounds about right. I was
So-
thinking Italy, Turkey, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, if he goes there, I'd like to see Lazio get knocked out as soon as possible.
I don't even want to talk about him now. You let him do his thing.
Yeah,
Less we say about him, the better.
yeah.
I'm saying Atletico and Lazio. Celtic are just making up the numbers as they do every year.
How many good clips have you seen of Barcelona days with Messi and Neymar just clowning Celtic?
Just 5-6 goals
Some
every
of my
time.
some of my best early football Champions League memories are watching Lionel Messi just absolutely stab through Celtic.
Yeah.
It's like it's a free game for them. They're just taking the piss. I love it.
Group F. PSG, Dortmund, Milan, the Geordies. Hell of a group that now.
Talk me through one by one.
Paris, I think, could struggle. They got Kylian though, haven't they?
They've got Kylian.
He's electric.
He's
when
a
he came
joke.
back in the team.
I don't care what anybody says. I as a person, I like Holland more, but Kylian is the best player in the world right now. He's absolutely. He's a
It's
joke.
undeniable.
He's a joke.
What he
yeah.
did in the World Cup final too, and then didn't even win it. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's got to be a sure shot for Ballon d'Or as soon as he leaves that tin pot club. I just get out of Paris, Kylian. Go to
He'd win it
Madrid or
this
something.
year if Messi didn't win the World Cup.
Nah, Holland would. He just won a treble, and broke the single season record in the Prem.
I think it'll be Messi, Mbappe, Haaland, your top three. But going through that, PSG, I think with Mbappe, they'll probably go deep quarters, semis, just because they got him. Dembele on the other side.
Oh yeah, that's actually, if he can stay fit and if he gives a shit, he's such a fun player to watch. 2-footed, very rapid.
He's good mates with Mbappe too. You can tell that they like playing together.
I think that could spur him on as well. Maybe some, whatever Dembele needs. I don't know what he was missing at Barcelona to not turn up like he should have, but
yeah, got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Dortmund, I think, will struggle post Jude. It's a tough time, isn't it? It's like Fergie leaving United, mate.
It's a tough time, but it is a fantastic club. You can't say a bad word about them, honestly, unless you're a Bayern fan. I think Dortmund are so wonderful, and that's the gold standard for how non-gigantic clubs should be run. Is just watch Dortmund.
What about Milan? Rafael? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, he
signed a contract, didn't he? 5 year.
Good player. Was very disappointed by him in the semi-final. That being said, I'm pretty sure I remember hearing that he was coming off an injury.
Oh, really?
Probably like only halfway there physically, but that being said, every time I watch him, for the most part, he's a moments player. But if he doesn't have those moments in a game, he can really be invisible.
Mm-hmm.
So
exciting when he gets going.
Yeah, when he gets going, he's very good.
And then Newcastle. How do you think they're fair?
I was having this conversation the other day. I really do think that Newcastle are going to have to pick one, Premier League or Champions League. I really don't think that they can do both. Not because their starting 11 isn't good, because their starting 11 is good and it's difficult to play against. But
yeah,
few players past that and they're in trouble.
I was thinking top six for the top six clubs in England. The absolute best outcome, those opposing Newcastle, is Newcastle to go away to one of these teams, turn them over, and think they've got a chance to get out the group, and then all their energy goes towards the Champions League and their Premier League results fall. They don't have the squad to do both, but I have a feeling that Newcastle will go and get some Spurs Bale type results in Europe, and they'll become focused on European football. They already haven't looked amazing in the Prem. And then you've got Chelsea.
That loss against Liverpool was a joke.
Yeah. Eddie Howe's a good manager, though. I think he'll be able to keep them focused on the long term. I think he's not going to be able to, but I think he's one of the best people to have there to keep that equilibrium and hopefully make sure they're prioritising the right things. I don't think going far in the Champions League is a priority this year. I think getting back in the Champions League and then getting another good recruitment class in is a better strategy than going and trying to beat Paris in Paris and Dortmund and then losing in the quarterfinals.
I definitely agree. I think it's in Newcastle's best interest to remain focused on the league, do as well as you can in the Champions League, but I think it's better for the club long term to just, if they finish the top four again this year.
Yeah, walk before you can run.
Yeah.
Walk before you can run.
That's actually, to a certain extent, I mean, I expect more of us, but that's actually to a certain extent how I feel about the Arsenal. My priority still this season is I'd like to finish as high as we can in the league, but my priority is make sure we get the Champions League again next year.
I think you're top three.
Yeah, I mean, I think so as well, but Premier League is unpredictable. But, even if we go far in the Champions League, whatever, or we don't go far, if we get in it again next year, I think we'll be even in way better shape. Like, we're looking at another good recruitment class potentially the summer after that, and just sets us up really well if we can make it 2 times in a row. So, come on.
So, difficult group. I'm going to say Paris will win that group, and I'm going to say I'm going to say Newcastle comes second.
That's outrageous. I can't do that. I'm going to say Dortmund go through. They've got a very good pedigree in the Champions League. Milan do as well, but I think Dortmund have got it. It's just it's a knee-jerk reaction, obviously. So,
Okay.
Paris-Dortmund.
Paris-Dortmund. And then Group G is an absolute joke, so I'm not even going to go through it too much detail. But Man City will be coming up against
Leipzig. Yeah.
Leipzig. I
Who
can't
just
pronounce that.
lost in Kunku.
Caverna Zvedva. Sounds like a vodka.
Leipzig lost in Kunku and Jabasly in the same summer.
Yeah.
They're in trouble.
And Young Boys. So we'll say Man City go through there. Probably Leipzig as second.
Yeah, I mean, they lost those two players, but they have a very
Better
good
than the other
system
two,
as well.
aren't
I
they?
think they're pretty good. And obviously the other two teams in that group they're not expected to go through, so we'll see what happens.
Group H. Barca, Porto, Shakhtar Donetsk, Antwerp. I'll be honest, I've never heard of Antwerp.
Yeah, if Barca don't make it through this, then just liquidate the club. Honestly, they've got to get through this group.
Yeah. And they got Pedri, they got Gavi, De Jong, Lewandowski. Not Fatty anymore. They got João Felix coming in.
João
Cancelo coming in on loan, yeah.
Mhm. Oh, and that young boy, the 16-year-old.
What's his name?
What's his name?
Jamal or something?
Yamal.
Ball, he's young now.
Oh my God, he is unbelievable.
Yeah, we'll be talking about him eventually, I feel.
Yeah, he is so good.
With them, though, I don't know, maybe Porto.
I mean,
Shakhtar.
it's a tough group to call because, yeah, I'm gonna say Porto. Porto have stature in the Champions League as well.
Shakhtar aren't terrible, though. I mean, they've got through a few times.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who won't be Antwerp.
Yeah, come on.
Do,
Surely not. No, surely not. Surely not.
All right. So we're going Bayern and United, Arsenal, and Sevilla, Napoli and Madrid. Who's the other one?
Inter. And I'm gonna say Sociedad and Inter.
Sociedad
Benfica
and
doesn't make
Inter.
it. Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Uh,
Lazio and Atletico.
I'm gonna say Atletico and Feyenoord.
Final.
I don't rate Lazio. I also don't like them. So
Paris and Dortmund, and Paris and Newcastle for me. I would probably say if we had to pick one, I would go Paris and Dortmund as well. I don't fancy Milan.
yeah, I think you said Newcastle just because you want to see it happen.
No, I honestly think I'm the type of person that likes that type of thing to happen. So I'm gonna pick them. But if I had to pick, we could only pick one team to go through. I'd have to say we'd have to side with Dortmund. But
Yeah.
I do like to see something like that, and I can imagine, especially Newcastle with all the emotion that they play with, I can see something potentially happening there.
I am the type of person who, if Arsenal aren't in the competition and there's some English teams left, instead of wanting to see the English teams win and, be proud of the fact that the Premier League is the best league in the world, I personally like to see the other English teams crash and burn. So,
Yeah, Man City won it last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, and the Prem,
yeah, so
and the FA Cup. They did the treble, didn't they? And you lot crumbled. Interesting.
shall we move on?
Last two groups. City going through.
Yeah, City going
Treble
through.
winners.
Yeah, come on. I just want to say, for a long time, I used to just brush off the fact that City were good and that they used to wax us and that they still do wax us. I used to brush it off and just be like, you know what? I don't care. This past Premier League season has really, really made me hate City and Pep Guardiola. And I grew up, idolizing Pep Guardiola. I'm so sick of him. Knock them off their fucking perch, somebody. This can't keep happening. Cheating bastards, please leave.
Last two groups ran over. Man City are going through with Leipzig.
Yeah, and then I'm going to say Barcelona and Porto.
Barca and Porto. Those are the groups going through. Let's skip Saudi Arabia this week. It's too long. Too much of a conversation.
Yeah, should we take a intermission?
Intermission. The last step for today's episode is going to be Arsenal against Man United predictions this weekend.
Come on, Arsenal!
Muppet.